Welcome to the ODUblitz.com football show presented by our sponsors, Lions Bridge Financial Advisors, investing and planning for clients throughout Hampton Roads. I'm Ed Miller, the ODU beat writer for the Virginian-Pilot. I'm here with Tom White, who's filling in for Harry Minium. Harry's on a bye week, but Tom is moving up from the scout team. Tom's ready to go. It's homecoming.
Good to be here.
Yeah, homecoming. Tom's been around a long time. He was a podcast regular last year, so he's ready to roll. Tom, you're a longtime observer of the team. I see you walking the sidelines at games. I know you're watching the road games from the comfort of your den. Give us your thoughts on the North Texas game last week.
Well, here's what I saw. I saw a first half defensive effort that looked all too familiar. It was reminding me of the time when they needed Taylor Heineke to throw for 600 yards and they needed to score 51 points in order to win 51-48. The holes were big enough for you to run through, and the windows of passing lanes for that quarterback were big enough for me to complete passes.
Those are big, yeah.
And then all of a sudden they flipped the switch, and it's like a new team showed up in the second half, and they played a whole lot different game in the second half, which is why they got back into it. I saw that a team that really had no reason to do anything but pack it in the first half. Down 20, was it 28-10, 18-point deficit, playing how many thousand miles from home?
Yeah, about 1,500 miles probably.
Yeah, and coming off a tough loss to Western Kentucky, they had every reason to pack it in, and they didn't. So I was impressed by that. They took the lead and actually could have stolen one, I thought. And then finally, ODU's just, they don't have enough depth or enough talent to overcome the level of mistakes that they're making these days.
Right.
They made a living last year on other people's turnovers, and I think it's kind of turned around on them in a big way. They've committed 20 turnovers, if I'm not correct.
20 turnovers, yeah.
And I think only 4 or 5 teams in the country have committed more than that. And what happens there is you not only limit your offense from having another chance to go in and put points on the board or control the clock, you're often giving the other team the ball in prime position, making it easier for them to score, which is why the defense has allowed 35 or more points through this losing streak.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with pretty much everything you said. Turnovers have been a huge problem. As the North Texas coach Seth Luttrell said last week, ODU has a lot of fight in it. They don't quit. They play hard. They still believe they can win these games. They came charging back. They played a near, I wouldn't say as perfect a third quarter as they did against Western Kentucky, but it was a really good third quarter. Stephen Williams started finding his targets. He started making good reads. He's running. Again, the turnovers, as you mentioned, he had one where he really should have taken a sack. He got hit while he was trying to make a play while he's in the grasp of a North Texas defender. In those cases, just take a sack, punt the ball, live to play another day.
Absolutely.
One of his other pick was a deep ball that was underthrown. It turned out to be basically a punt, but as Bobby Wilder said, it's a matter of momentum. Maybe it's a punt.
It's a feel thing.
Right, exactly. It's just nobody feels good after you've turned the ball over. So Stevie Williams needs to work on those things. And speaking of Stevie, he's got a birthday this week. We usually don't acknowledge birthdays on the team, but this is
kind of a special one.
This is a milestone. He turns 18 years old on Saturday, which is really hard to believe.
Yeah.
The youngest quarterback in the country. What have you seen from him and his development over the 6 games that he's been?
Well, I think any kid who we'd be talking about turning 18 we wouldn't be talking about him.
Right.
He would be a kid who would be redshirting or a nondescript
or in high school
or still in high school. So that tells you something. I think that you're seeing development from him. It's been methodical and slow. He's still making too many mistakes. He's developing with his legs. I see him making really good decisions on that read option. He had 55 yards, I think, against North Texas, which in a game where Ray Lowry's nicked up, that's a big, important addition. You can't discount that. And that tells me that he can be a player in a year, 2, 3 for this team. As you said, he can't, when you have a guy deep, only bad things happen when you underthrow it. If you overthrow it, it's an incomplete pass. You punt, or you have a third down or whatever.
Right.
He's underthrowing too many balls. He's got to stop that. And he's interested in being the guy who can make that play. It's hard to get that out of your head to just take the loss. Get the ball out of bounds, take the loss. Don't wait for that guy to hit you from behind and knock it loose.
Yeah, again, I agree. I think he's coming along. The last 2 games have been his best, probably by far. As Bobby Wilder said, it's hard to really say that when you're getting beat, but he's coming along. The turnovers, that's just the biggest thing. He's got to...
Number one.
Yeah, he's got to do better at that. He's got 13, I think, 11 picks and 2 fumbles, which is 13 of their 20. They've all come in the last 6 weeks. But he is coming along. I think they made the right decision to stick with him through thick and thin.
I got nothing but props for Coach Wilder, because I think that it would have been easy for him to just say, look, we'll bring a upperclassman in, and after 3 games, because Stevie's just not getting the job done or he's turning the ball over too much. And he fought the urge to do that. And I think what the payoff will be is as he goes to spring ball next year and starts in August next year, he'll be far advanced because Bobby's taking his lumps this year. And I really don't think, had you brought in LaRussa or Hoy, not sure any of those games that the Old Dominion lost were winnable, even with those guys.
Yeah, I tend to agree. And I think what Wilder said at the time, and it's true, is once you take a red shirt off a guy like that, you've got to stick with them. They've got to ride the ups and downs for the payoff at the end. You can't jerk him around, bring him in and out. You've got to just go with them.
You commit, and it's a commitment to the kid.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Stevie's improved. What other areas have you seen where Old Dominion has shown some improvement over particularly the last couple weeks, where they've been in 1-score games? They're not getting beat by 30 anymore, which was their pattern for about a month. They're closer losses. They're still losses, but they're more competitive.
Well, just a couple of things. Isaiah Harper is the obvious guy. You can't ignore a guy who returns 2 kicks for touchdowns and basically keeps you in the same zip code through the early part of that game. Without those returns, there wouldn't be a second half to really come back and take a lead on. That's a nice addition to have, as we were talking earlier. When your kick returner is bringing 3 back this year, teams get afraid to kick to them, so you almost guarantee that they're going to kick away from them, and you're going to get the ball at the 30, 35, 37. And that's all plus yards if you're a coach and can start that way. Kevin Todd, another kid, young receiver, didn't play, I believe, the first 4 or 5 games. Only has 8 catches, but they've all come in the last 3 games.
Yep.
So nice to see a redshirt freshman, another Chesapeake kid, coming in and contributing that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Isaiah Harper's a guy we're going to be writing about this week. Talked to him quite a bit. Talked to Bobby Wilder. Talked to Coach Bankins, the special teams coordinator. My question to Coach Bankins was, is it a fireable offense to kick to Isaiah Harper?
Or should it be?
Yeah, or should it be? His take was, no, some teams will still kick to guys who've returned kicks for touchdowns, just their philosophy. You can't always control what your kicker's going to do. Kickers can be a little flighty. And, so Isaiah's been an incredible weapon. He's about 5'8", 170 pounds soaking wet.
Fast as all
Very
get out.
fast, yeah. And Kevin Todd, the guy you mentioned, I literally knew nothing about Kevin Todd because there's nothing in the media guide about Kevin Todd. He went to Oscar Smith. He flew under the radar there. He started on the scout team this year and really worked his way up. So he's a guy, they were looking for playmakers at receiver. He's a guy that's shown that he's willing to get in there and make some plays.
Absolutely.
So they need it, and Kevin is a guy I think we'll see more of in the coming weeks.
And Melvin Vaughn's also started to become the player that we thought he could be. He's making enough plays to kind of be dangerous and an extra weapon.
It's the Oscar Smith receiving corps. I mean, they had 9-10 catches last week, and we'll see what happens as we go forward. But right now, we'll take a break to hear from our sponsors at Lionsbridge Financial Advisors.
You embody dedication, sacrifice, and commitment. You are an elite athlete. You know the difference superior coaching makes. Lionsbridge Financial Advisors is here to be your financial coach. We'll help you pack for your athletic journey by gathering a complete picture of where you are and where you want to go, and by working with other trusted professionals on your behalf.
And we're back with the ODUblitz.com football show presented by our sponsors, Lionsbridge Financial Advisors, investing and planning for clients throughout Hampton Roads. Tom, I know as hairy as every week that you're eager to hear about my Conference USA
I
power
am.
rankings.
And I understand from the grapevine or from your blog
Right.
that you have a new number one this week.
We have a new number one. For a long time, we didn't have a number one. We were just stubbornly
Just holding
having
out.
co-number twos, and then it looked like Marshall had provided us with some clarity. Well, that only lasted a week.
Yeah.
So right now, Lane Kiffin, the Lane Kiffin takeover of Conference USA is underway. They are number one in our poll, number one in the East Division, playing the best of any team in the league right now.
On the cusp of bowl eligibility.
Yes, the Owls of Florida Atlantic. Not to be confused with the Rice Owlsies of Florida
Averaging
Atlantic.
52 points a game or close to it in league play.
Yeah, they've really geared it up. Behind them, we have North Texas, who's kind of the class of the West right now, despite a very shaky defense. So we'll see what happens with the Mean Green. And then keeping it in Florida, we got FIU, Butch Davis of Florida International Panthers, are another surprise team. Florida is really, I think those teams have always been talented down there.
Yeah.
Clearly now they've got
Plenty of recruiting land.
Yeah, now they've got coaching. They've got two high-profile coaches, Lane Kiffin and Butch Davis. Going down the list real quick, we got Marshall at 4, UAB, who's a real good story on the verge of bowl eligibility after dropping football for 2 years.
Now, UAB was riding a high, and then, of all teams, Charlotte comes in and gets its first win 2 weeks ago.
And they bounced back
over
to
the
their
Blazers.
credit.
Yeah.
To their credit. And they're at home, so we'll see if they can do it. UTSA, Southern Miss, Louisiana Tech, Western Kentucky. Then we've got Middle Tennessee. Old Dominion is holding in at 11. And then number 12,
Where did you have
Charlotte.
them in preseason? Do you remember?
I think I had them 3, which,
ODU?
yeah.
What were you thinking?
Yeah, well, again.
I think a lot of people had
No,
them
I
in
think- I
that
think it
3,
was-
4,
yeah.
5
I gave
range.
them a hometown discount there at 3. But and then we have Rice and UTEP bringing up the rear.
Now,
as
unless
they
I'm mistaken,
often are.
the ODU has games remaining against a couple of the Charlotte
and Rice. Yeah.
A couple of winnable games. I think they're favored by 7.5 or so this week.
Right.
So FAU clearly the overachieving team in the bunch. Anybody would kind of agree with that. Who's underachieved versus preseason?
I think Western Kentucky's the team that, they've been dominating the league for the last 3 years. Have won 3 straight, or is it 2? I'm sorry, I may be wrong about that. But they've won. They're the defending champions. They're picked to win the East. Louisiana Tech was the team supposed to win the West. They've struggled. Middle Tennessee's had quarterback issues. The issue being they don't have their quarterback.
Right.
They're a really good quarterback. So they've struggled a bit. So they've been, all those teams have been a little underachieving. Marshall's a team that's come back strong. The consensus is that most of their problems were between the ears last year.
Yeah.
Not talent-wise. So
Motivation, confidence.
They've responded, although it'll be interesting to see how they do against FAU coming off a loss. So
Would that be the big game of the weekend?
that is the game of the week. Marshall at FAU. It's a Friday night game. And unlike the last time Conference USA had a Friday night game, they're not competing against each other. We had ODU.
No World Series game?
Yeah, we had ODU. No, the World Series will be over by then.
That's right.
We had, when ODU was playing Western, we had Marshall also playing on Friday night. So it was Conference USA sort of pitted against each other. Right. So Friday night, we'll see what Marshall can do in terms of coming back. If Florida Atlantic wins, they're really in the driver's seat. Basically can really put Marshall behind the 8 ball because they would have lost to both FIU and FAU.
Right.
So there you go. Speaking of FIU, UTSA, which is a very solid team out of the West, they are in Miami to face Butch Davis. And again, FAU, no one's quite sure. Are they really that good? But here they are.
Well, the thing is, they've played that good. Whether they
Right.
are supposed to be or not, what they're showing us is looking good.
Yeah, and then Rice at UAB, we mentioned the Blazers can become bowl eligible. Rice would seem to be the perfect team for that. Rice has been struggling all year. North Texas is at Louisiana Tech. The Mean Green can really sew up the West if they win here, but again, their defense, they've got a really potent offense. Their quarterback's good. They've got a running back. They've got good receivers, as ODU found out.
Last
we'll
week.
see. UTEP at Middle Tennessee, not much to really say about that. You would think Middle could take care of business. UTEP has not won and could be headed for a winless season out in El Paso. And we got 2 games out of conference. Western Kentucky's at Vanderbilt, which is an opportunity maybe for an SEC win, and Southern Miss is at Tennessee, and this is a
Who
great
knows
time.
what's going to happen
Great time to be playing Tennessee, I think.
in Knoxville? Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see. And of course, we got ODU. It's
Hosting.
homecoming game. Yeah, homecoming against the Charlotte 49ers, a team they really hammered last year. They've got a quarterback who's really dangerous. His name is Hassan Klough, Klough. And there's an interesting stat. He's in the games he's played in, he's accounted for every touchdown they have, 13. And so he's a one-man shop offensively. They don't score a lot. They score under 15 points a game, and they do run the ball pretty well. So, Tom, who do you like in this game?
Well, I was impressed that they got a win over UAB, and they also had held Marshall to 14 points earlier in the year.
Yeah.
So they apparently can play some defense. They move the ball on the ground. ODU has had trouble with mobile quarterbacks in the past several years. They've had trouble with that. So I'm going to say Charlotte covers the points, but ODU gets the win, let's say 24-20.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think I haven't picked ODU in the last couple of weeks, and it turned out to be the right thing to do. I see the improvement in practice. The offense in particular is putting up more points than they have earlier in the year. I think they can score on this team. I think if they can stop the run, they can contain Klough. They should win 31-17, somewhere like. I'm going to say they cover the spread, but we'll see.
Bold,
yeah,
very bold.
bold. They've got to have this game. I mean, this is just not even debatable. I mean,
Yeah.
like as I wrote earlier in the week, forget about the bowl picture. They just need to win a game now.
To feel good about themselves.
Yeah. Now, if they win this, then all of a sudden they're looking at 3 wins to go to a bowl. But got to get
Let's
the
talk
first
about
one.
it after that first
Yeah,
one.
got to get the first one. And I think bowl discussion with them is legitimate because of what they did last year. They were a 10-win team. They were expected to be better. It wasn't like they were, a team that was 2-10, and now we're talking about them trying to get to a bowl.
Yeah, I just like to leave the bowl talk to when you've turned it around and you've won a couple and you're moving toward the 6 wins. They haven't moved toward 6 wins for quite a long time.
It's been a long time since they had a win.
Middle of September.
Yeah, early September.
That's right,
September
second.
9th. Win or lose, we'll be back here next week. At least I will. Harry Minium will be back. Thanks to Tom White.
I hope so.
Thanks to Tom for filling in. And thanks for watching the ODUblitz.com football show presented by our sponsors, Lionsbridge Financial Advisors, investing and planning for clients throughout Hampton Roads. For Tom White, I'm Ed Miller. We will see you again next week.